Reach out and pick up the nearest brick, and you're holding something that was quietly designed around your own body, though no one ever told you. It feels like nothing. A small, heavy rectangle, the color of dried earth. You have walked past thousands of them today alone. They line your street, hold up your walls, edge your garden. And in all that time, you have probably never once stopped to ask the simplest question about them. Why is a brick the size of a brick? Not bigger, not smaller. Why this exact, comfortable, hand-filling shape, the same rough block over and over for thousands of years? The answer is hiding right there in your palm. There is really only one rule that the brick obeys, and everything else follows from it. A brick has to be small enough and light enough to be picked up and placed with a single hand, just one, because the other hand is busy. The other hand is holding the trowel, the little flat blade that spreads the wet mortar. So the bricklayer scoops mortar with one hand and sets the brick with the other, again and again, all day long. That is the whole secret. The brick is not sized for a building. It is sized for a person, and that puts a hard limit on its weight. A standard brick weighs only about 3 kilograms, light enough to lift a few thousand times a day without your arm giving out. Make it any heavier, and the wall would take 2 hands and twice as long. Make it lighter and weaker, and it would not hold the load. 3 kilograms is the quiet compromise your body struck with gravity a very long time ago. But there is a second rule, and it is hiding in the proportions. Look at a brick from the side. It is roughly twice as long as it is wide. That 2-to-1 ratio is not an accident either. It means you can turn a brick sideways across a wall or lay it lengthways along it, and the pieces still line up. They interlock. Each layer can cross over the seams of the layer beneath, so the joints never stack into one weak line running straight down. That overlapping pattern is what makes a brick wall strong, and it only works because of that simple length-to-width ratio, give or take the thin gap of mortar between them. So the shape does 2 jobs at once. It fits your hand, and it fits itself. Now, before going any further, hold one more thought in the back of your mind. One of these plain, dusty blocks was used just a couple of years ago to read the strength of Earth's magnetic field from 3,000 years in the past. Keep that. It comes back at the end. But first, how old is this idea really? Older than almost anything else you still buy new. Go back nearly 9,500 years to the ancient town of Jericho in the Jordan Valley. People there were already shaping mud into bricks and drying them in the sun. Those early bricks were long and loaf-shaped, larger than the ones you know. But the thought behind them was the same. Take soft earth, give it a shape your hands can stack, and build something that lasts. Sun-dried mud, though, melts in the rain. The real leap was fire. Bake the clay hot enough, and it stops being dried dirt and becomes something closer to stone, ceramic, the same family as a dinner plate. Some of the oldest fired bricks ever found come from Neolithic China at a walled settlement called Chengtushan. There, around 6,000 years ago, people fired red clay on every side, hot enough to harden it, and laid it down as the floors of their homes. A peer-reviewed study from 2014 by the researcher Yang and colleagues in the journal Archaeometry carries a wonderfully blunt name: The Making of Fired Clay Bricks in China. Some 5,000 years ago? 5,000 years, which means the fired brick may be the oldest thing humanity still mass produces by exactly the same logic it always did. Not the wheel, not the pot, the brick. And here is where a comfortable myth needs a gentle correction. You will often hear that the brick has been identical for 5,000 years, unchanged since antiquity. That is a lovely line. It is also not quite true. Take the bricks of ancient Rome. You might picture them looking just like yours, but they did not. Roman-fired bricks were thin and wide, often only an inch or two thick, yet stretching 7, 8, even up to 20 inches across. They were less like a block you grip in one fist and more like a flat tile. And for a long time, Rome barely fired bricks at all. Early Rome built mostly in plain sun-dried mud. Even Rome's most famous boast about brick is a little bit of a stretch. The Emperor Augustus is said to have claimed he found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble. It is a beautiful line, and the ancient writer Suetonius did record it. But another ancient historian, Cassius Dio, read it differently. To him, it was a metaphor. Augustus meant he had made the empire strong, not that he had literally reclad the streets. And modern digital reconstructions of the ancient city, led by Professor Diane Favreau at the University of California, suggest Rome changed far less than the boast pretends. It was in part simply good propaganda, set in stone, you might say, that never quite was. So if the exact shape kept shifting across the centuries, what actually stayed the same? The hand. The one constant through every era and every empire was the size of the human grip, and humans kept rediscovering it on purpose. In the year 1776, the British Parliament passed a law that fixed the size of a brick, 8.5 inches by 4 by 2.5. Almost exactly the brick still made today. Then again, in January of 1970, Britain wrote it down once more as an official standard, 215 millimeters long, by 102.5 wide, by 65 tall, nearly the same numbers, 2 centuries apart. And this time the size was tuned to a planning grid, so that bricks and doors and windows all combine in neat steps of 100 millimeters. Meanwhile, across the ocean, America quietly settled on its own brick, a little shorter, by about the width of a thumb. So there is no single brick for the whole world. There is only the same idea, redrawn again and again, around the same pair of hands. Now turn the brick over and look closer, because there are small mysteries in your palm. Many bricks have a shallow dish pressed into one face, a hollow called the frog. It is clever. The frog uses less clay, so the brick is lighter and dries faster. It catches the mortar and grips it tighter, so the wall bonds better, and it gives the maker a little tray to stamp a name into. Bricklayers usually lay the frog facing up so it fills with mortar like a tiny cup. As for why it is called a frog, honestly, no one is sure. Some say it once got tangled with an Old Dutch word. Some say the hollow looks like a crouching frog. Some point to the soft part of a horse's hoof, which bears the same name, a small word with a missing past, sitting right there in your hand. And now, that thought from earlier comes back. In 2023, a team of researchers, including scientists at University College London, published something quietly astonishing in the Journal of the National Academy of Sciences. They studied 32 baked bricks from ancient Mesopotamia, what is now Iraq. Each brick had been stamped long ago with the name of the king who ruled when it was made. 12 different kings across the centuries. Now, inside fired clay, there are tiny grains of iron oxide and specks of rust, essentially. When the brick is baked, those grains freeze in place, lined up with Earth's magnetic field at that exact moment, like a crowd of compass needles caught mid-turn. So the researchers measured them. And because the king's name on each brick tells you roughly when it was fired, every brick became a dated snapshot of the planet's magnetism, a clock made of clay. Their readings confirmed a strange, real episode, a stretch of time around 3,000 years ago when Earth's magnetic field over that part of the world grew unusually powerfully strong, a ghost of the planet's deep interior, recorded by accident in the floor tiles and walls of vanished cities. Think about that the next time you pass a building site. And one more thing, just to feel the scale of it all. By the 1850s, a man named Henry Clayton had patented a machine that could press around 25,000 bricks in a single day, from one pair of hands at Jericho to 25,000 a day. So look at any wall around you now with fresh eyes. Every one of those small rectangles is the same decision, made over and over for thousands of years. Not the size of a stone, not the size of a stile, the size of a hand, your hand. Whole cities quietly scaled to how far your fingers can reach and how much your arm can carry. It may be the oldest agreement humanity has never stopped keeping. And it makes you wonder, how many other ordinary things, the ones you hold every single day, are secretly shaped around your own body, just waiting for you to notice? If one comes to mind, leave it in a single line below. Until then, the next brick you pass already knows the size of your hand,